No,
Okay,
back in
Amelia,
the days
sure.
when we were
I
in the
didn't
blue
know
carpet
that.
and rocks, and he had all
The blue
this stuff
carpet
on
and
the
rocks.
line.
Uh-huh.
You know, he was about to get fired. He was, you know, making some people mad.
Yeah,
They
but
were
you know,
in powerful positions, and we were like, and you're gonna sit here and tell us you're not gonna play
well, you
because
know,
you don't like the song?
well, you know,
What
I
kind
was
of balls
never,
are you?
I would never, ever, ever have considered firing anybody who worked with me in the studio, ever. In fact, I never fired anybody.
No, you never did.
The
I
only-
always thought you would fire me, but good God, he never did. I was like, bless his heart.
No, everybody's got their assets, their pluses and their minuses. If you fired everybody who had a minus, you wouldn't have anybody left. You know, you work with what they've got, not, you know, you look across the abyss, not down into the abyss.
Yeah, like that's he knew that I could bring some stuff to the table, but also had my problem.
But everybody knew that. Everybody knew that.
He overlooked them to a certain degree.
Let me tell you, but see, he was the comeback king. I've got a video that I will enjoy bringing out one of these days, where we were having our first session in the studio. Now this is before our studio downstairs. We set up a studio during Hurricane David in my
your
office.
with the red carpet.
It was, I had just gotten an 8-track tape player.
Yes.
We had Mush in there with his saxophone.
And I was doing some sort of Arabian.
Yeah, you put a shawl around your head, and you were
Straw.
pretending to be a Mid-Eastern something or other, some kind of a king
We were just
or
ad
prince,
libbing. We
a
were
prince. And you were eating some awful stuff. You ate the worst stuff. I wouldn't
I
touch
can
the
see
stuff.
that.
He would eat
I'm
this
a
stuff.
Cajun. I'm a Cajun.
The stuff that they have in jars on a
Yeah.
counter, like with eggs and pickles, and people reach in and get them.
Oh man, there's some quail eggs.
Yeah, get some quail eggs. Even.
No.
And he was sitting there eating stuff and playing
That's some
the piano
hog lip. That's hog lip.
and drinking, and Burt had to go throw up in the middle of everything. So he
That's
goes in the
likely.
back and he throws up. And now let me tell you, if I ever had to go throw up, you're not going to see me again till tomorrow, because I don't feel good.
No,
I just
Yeah.
threw up. I'm sick.
No, you got to go
But
back.
Burt comes back. He says, I feel better. I feel a lot better. I just threw up. And he's back and having fun again.
Well, we used to do that when I was in college. We used to go to a frat party and drink till we threw up, and then once we felt better, we'd drink some more. And they taught me just how a man drinks.
See,
Just how a man drinks.
See, I wasn't really that good at hanging with the guys, because I wasn't really one of those kind of guys.
He was a rusty nail sort of guy.
I would. Once a year, I'd have my rusty nail
He
and
would
fall
have a
asleep.
rusty- He was not a drinker. I think I like that about you, because we'd have been a mess if you were a drinker.
Do you remember our studio sessions where you guys would bring beer, and you'd bring like a whole truck full of beer?
Yeah.
And then when we were a couple of hours through the session, somebody had to go make a beer run because we were out of beer.
And Aaron would just roll with it as long as, you know, as we were getting somewhere. Remember?
Yeah. Everybody.
Because you seem to understand that it was very tense to do that stuff. So the more relaxed you got us, the better we were.
Yeah.
Well, and you used to relax me in the studio. I remember you doing it. He would be relaxing me to try to get me to be giddy and funny. You know, I'd be a little stiff. You know.
You were not. You were always great.
No,
I remember you
you
being stiff.
you had little ways of making us relax. You know. He gave us a bunch of Valium. No, I'm just joking. No, he just talked to me and get silly with me over the mic, and then, you know,
Then
I'd
we'd
sort
record.
of get them go. I was telling her today about our favorite time of the day after we go really long, right before we go to sleep. We had had a dinner, beautiful dinner, which I described to her, the steak and the corn and the power tea and everything, and then we'd wash the dishes and we'd put on the Colander hat and we would get everything straightened up in his kitchen, and then we would sit down at the table and go, okay, it's about time to go to bed, and right then is where silly stuff would start to happen. And he taught me to pay attention to it, you know. This is your brain relaxing and sort of, he said, pay attention to this, and we might, you know, have some fruit here. And I think that's one of the nights we put the Colander Head hat on and said, he goes, that's it. that's because he was just so
Well, we were-
punch
I
drunk.
loved it.
You know what was going on? I still remember it. I remember where we were sitting. But you know what I don't remember? Jeff told me he was there.
No, Jeff wasn't there. It was me and you.
It was just you and me,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
We're cleaning up after dinner.
Okay, so we were sitting there at the table, and the colander was in the middle of the table. Okay, and you were just fiddling with it, and we were talking about something very unrelated to colanders. We were talking about our show, but it was unrelated to colanders. You were fiddling with it, and you put it on your head, and you talked for a while, and you had big, bushy, black, curly hair.
Yeah.
I love
And when
that.
you put the colander on your head, the hair kind of came out of the colander.
I didn't realize that.
And then you take it off and you put it back on the table. And I looked at it for a minute and I thought to myself, I'm going to wash that colander before I use
oh
it.
yeah, because it's been on his.
It's
And,
really
then,
funny.
and then he'd flip it over and he'd put it back on his head. And I thought, I'm not going to say anything. He's dirtying up my colander. I can wash it.
Clean.
I was a germ
Yeah.
freak.
Germ freak.
I'm not going to say anything. And he flipped it, he put it back down. Then you put it back on again. And then that's when I noticed, I said, you look pretty good with that colander on your head. That actually looks good
That's
on
what
you.
I remember.
With your hair coming out.
Are
and
you
everything.
insane?
You actually look good. And that's and then we started talking about, could we get everybody to wear their colanders on their heads, come to Showbiz Pizza Place? We wanted to do something absolutely crazy.
Absolutely against everything.
Every rule.
And can we get industrial sized colanders for
for the
everybody's
characters.
heads?
And we realized we're going to have to bribe people to wear colanders on their heads, and we could do it.
And
We-
Showbiz was going to be like, what the f
Yeah.
are y'all thinking?
Yeah, so that's how the whole colander head thing was born.
I know, I
and then
wondered
we
about
just
that.
worked on it and worked on it and worked on it.
And
we
you
worked
saw
on
it through right to the end. He had to fight the whole way against people saying, what are you smoking?
Yeah, and
But Aaron had a vision.
Well,
I thought that was great.
do you remember what the coup de grace of the vision was? The coup de grace. Everybody was kind of on our side still, okay, except one guy. There's one guy who was never on our side.
Rolf.
No. Well, of course, Rolf, of course. But there was one real person who was never on our side, no matter what we came up with. He poo-pooed it.
Yeah.
He was a franchise owner.
Yeah, franchise owner. Yeah.
And his name was...
Dun, 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 dun.
It's in the Colander Head Telethon. It's
And
the
we used
last
to
one.
Beat on
Is
him
it the
all
one
the
that you
time.
guys couldn't get the
We-
call from?
Yeah, we
Gordon
gotta get
Prince.
Gordon Prince. Hey,
There you go.
Ding, 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 ding.
I got
Gordon Prince.
I remember that.
It
You were
there was
chanting
a
that
real
at the end.
Gordon Prince, and
Yeah.
we pretended that Gordon called in and gave us his support. And after we got the call from our fake Gordon Prince telling us, "I'm in," then there was nothing he could do,
Oh,
right?
what a ride,
but go
man.
along with it. So we actually got Gordon Prince on our side for the Colander Head thing. He was a little ashamed.
The whole thing was a big ride, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a big ride.
And do you remember? So, and then of course the balloons drop, the confetti drops,
Yes.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
you and
funny.
I jump up on the table. To
Yes.
talk. And
love
I
that.
swallowed
I-
confetti.
Oh, you did?
And
Oh.
you had to take over for me because I had to jump down off the table.
You
Yeah.
swallowed. You inhaled it.
I inhaled. I had confetti in my lungs.
Oh my
And I had
God,
to jump
that's
off
terrible.
the table and let you carry on. And I pulled the confetti out of my throat.
Yeah.
And I jumped back on the table with you. And then I realized I didn't get it all and I had to jump back down again. So if you guys ever look at the Colander Head
watch that
Telethon,
video.
at the end where I'm jumping off the table, I'm getting down there and pulling confetti out of my lungs.
Because there's a couple of things right here that I like to say. The confetti thing was a leftover from Clutch, which we probably shouldn't have done.
Why?
Especially not knowing how to control confetti and getting the right size pieces. We just cut up a bunch of stuff and have the wives do that and just blow it out. And we had a part in a song where we'd go, silhouette, 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 and we would be holding these wet pieces of confetti and we'd throw them up in the air to try to make like sparkles,
Ah,
We really needed not confetti.
Glitter.
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 Yeah, it's
Glitter.
sparkling.
And we go home every night with grease and glitter in our hair. And then finally, it just got too hard. Somebody just kept forgetting to go get the glitter. So we'd say, well, we have to make confetti right now. And then we'd all end up going home with confetti in our hair. But it would be wet from our sweat. And so I suggested to Aaron that we use confetti for that particular thing in the Colander Head show. and it was a disaster.
Only because of that. It was exciting though. It was very exciting.
Did we actually get some up in the air?
Yeah, they had it all up there ready to release, the confetti and the balloons.
Okay, and the other thing I wanted to say is the Colander Head.
Eddie
Okay.
Gismondi Sr. did that.
Yeah, Eddie
yeah, you
Gismondi.
talked
What
about him a lot.
a great guy. So, when I was about 10 or 11, I used to go see my uncle, and he was a real cowboy, and his son was a real cowboy.